Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and I'd like to say a massive thank you for all your support for 2023. It's been an awesome year, great fun sharing the hobby with you and being part of the community. So I'd like to wish you a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. I hope you have an awesome break with your friends and family, and I was thinking about what video to put out for Christmas Eve / Christmas Day, and I thought what better than this Santa miniature that I got from Pandyman Games when I went to the Games Expo earlier in the year. This model came from their range for threat level, emergency response, and they also do another game called Trench Offensive, so it was great to meet them there, and big thanks for letting me take this model home. And I did say I'd get it painted around Christmas, so let's go! Here it is. We're going to start with some Leia Cadian flesh tone, and we're going to give all the areas that you can see, the arms, the face there, 2 coats of this. Now I'm watering it down with 1 part paint, 1 part water, doing a couple of nice thin coats, and then that's going to give us a solid even colour all over. I've primed it with a dark grey surface primer, and then I've used a white paint to do a dry brush over the top, and that's going to bring out all the details. You don't necessarily see it when you're doing layering painting like this, but perfect if you wanted to do a contrast paint. That would work really nicely, but I still like to do this dry brushing just to see the details of the model. When those 2 layers are completely dry, I took a shade Reichland Flesh Shade, and then I pop a nice coat of that over there, getting it into all those recesses, working it around, and then making sure to bring out all the detail. Then it's back to the Leia Cadian flesh tone, and we're just going to pick out the most raised areas now. Try and leave the darker recesses with that shade in there, but just freshen it back up with that Cadian flesh tone. And there we go, just picking out all those details, get that nose going as well. But I'm going to be using this Santa in Population Z. We're going to be playing a game around the table on Christmas Eve, maybe Boxing Day, not sure yet. We're going to squeeze a game in though for sure. Oh, next up, Leia Kislev Flesh. Now I'm going over those areas again, but not quite as much as I did with that Cadian flesh tone. And this is going to get lighter and lighter as we build up different layers with the different paints. And I'm picking out areas the light's going to catch the most. Then it's Leia Flayed One Flesh for the final highlight, and now I'm just going to pick the most raised areas, the tip of the nose, the cheeks, and just the main areas there. So again, not as much as that previous layer, just getting smaller each time. Then I moved on to the shirt, and I thought it'd be cool to add a bit of green to this, so I've gone for Leia Skarsnik Green. I really like this colour, nice and subtle, it's almost like a pastel-y green, and so I'll do the same thing. 2 thin coats of this over there to get a nice solid base colour. Then it's time for Abaddon Black, and this will be the base paint, and I'm going to go over this on the boots, and I'm just watering it down a little bit. This is a really strong paint, so I only need 1 coat of this actually. So I go over all the boots there, and also over the sword as well. This is a Yakuza Santa, so he's got his katana there, and he's going to do some serious damage slaying those zombies. So I'm really looking forward to getting him on the table to cause some havoc. But we've got to get him painted first, so let's carry on with Shade Athonian Camo Shade, and this is going to go over all the areas that we painted in green. Again, working it into the recesses. This is really helping to bring out all the detail now and giving us the shadow. Then base Mephiston Red, and 2 thin coats of this again over all the areas that we want painted red. This is a nice strong colour too. Sometimes you can get away with 1, but I'm just going with 2, so it's really nice and solid, and we've got a nice base to work with then. So just moving that model around, making it really easy, changing the angle of the model rather than moving myself around, and then I've got lots of control there. And this is a really nice red colour. I was going to go a bit darker, a bit more of a blood colour, but I thought, nah, this would be cool, nice and bright. Right, back to Leia Skarsnik Green, and once that shade is dry, we can freshen this area up with just 1 coat now, just to bring out those most raised areas, and again being careful not to go into the recesses so that shade stays in place. Then I'm going to lighten this up with a bit of the Flayed One Flesh that we had earlier, and you can see I'm just mixing it on the wet palette until it's just a nice lighter green. These 2 colours are going to work really well together to lighten that green up, and then this will be the final highlight. Just now picking out those most raised areas, trying to catch where the light would hit it, and just being very careful, very delicate here, and just getting that highlight going on all the little folds and creases of the shirt. Now let's add some shade to the red with some shade Carroburg Crimson. I'm using this because it's pretty much the only kind of colour I've got that I think will work well with this. It'll darken it a little bit as well. So I'm just working that in there, getting into the recesses again, and you start to see all that texture now from the model coming through. So giving it a nice even coat all over, and it's great to push and pull this paint around with your brush. It doesn't dry super fast, doesn't dry as fast as, say, a contrast paint, so you've got time to work it around and make sure it's nice and even, but it likes to run into those recesses on its own. Now layer Dawnstone. This is going to be a highlight for the black, so I've watered this down. I'm just going to give one coat, add in some highlight, again just the raised areas where the light's going to catch it, little dots here and there, little lines, just using the texture of the model to do the work for me. So I'll just run my brush along the edge and that'll just catch that nicely. Back we go to Mephiston Red, and then I'm going to freshen up all those areas, going over all the raised areas, leaving that shade in place. And this is the technique, really nice and simple, just trying to use 3 paints in the shade or 3 different colours to go from darker to lighter. And I really enjoy painting in this process, really fun. Next up is layer Evil Sun's Scarlet, a little bit lighter red now, and so just going to go over those creases again, keeping that shade in there so it's nice and dark. We've got a really nice contrast, and by the time this dries it's quite subtle, so it won't be as bright and as bold as you see it here. The final highlight, I take some layer Troll Slayer Orange, and I'm going to mix that in with the Scarlet Red there, so it's not quite as orange as it is from the pot. And then this will be our final highlight, and then just go over those little edges of the pockets especially. That's going to catch a lot of the light, and taking my time here. Again, it's going to be a bit duller when it dries, so it won't be quite as bright as this. And you can go through a lot more stages and then you'd get smoother transitions, but I quite like it like this where it's quite bold. I think it looks cool, and it's quick as well. It's a fast way to do it. Alright, now let's take some base Runelord Brass. I'm going to use this for the buttons. I prefer this over a gold. It's a bit dirtier, looks a bit cooler, and yeah, I don't want it too shiny. I don't want a bling Santa. So little dots there, and then also just around there, the handle of the katana. Now onto my favourite white paint, 2 thin coats White Star, and I'm just going to block in all the areas that are going to be like white. So around the little bobble there on the hat. We'll also go around the rim of the hat too, and we're going to go over that beard. And so just being careful not to go over any areas I've already painted. I'm not worried about the underside of any of the beard or the moustache, because that's going to be dark anyway. We want that shadow and shade to come through, and then just be very careful here as we're getting quite close to the face that we've painted. When that's completely dry, take some shade Soulblight Grey, really shake this up, give it a good mix, and then that's going to go and fill in all those areas that we painted and blocked in with the white. And this is perfect. I really like this as a shade. It's one of my favourite ones. Quite subtle. It keeps that white coming through, but gives a decent enough recess. Right, now on to thin coats again, and the least favourite part of painting for me is painting the eyes. I've took a smaller brush now. I'm just being very careful to paint in the whites of the eyes. And then once that's dry, I take a Micron 005 pen. This is a Pigma Micron. These are fantastic. And there you go. I'll put a link down below if you want to find them. And this is going to be great to do the little pupils. So I pop one in there. I'll do the other one. And that is pretty much the model finished. So here we go. Here's Santa ready to slay some zombies. I've done the base with just a very simple Vallejo earth, and then a little line of yellow to just give the idea that he's on the road and about to get stuck in with some zombie action. But really happy with this model. I think it's awesome. Big thanks to Pandyman for letting me take this one away from the Games Expo, and I'm glad I got round to getting it painted in time for Christmas and to get it on the table for some fun family games, which is what it's all about. I hope you have a great Christmas, and again, thanks for such an awesome year. It's been really fun to share the hobby with you, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did like it, it'd be great if you hit the like button, subscribe for more videos like this one, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games. Thank you so much to my Patreon supporters for helping me to keep going with these regular videos. I couldn't do this without you, and I appreciate your support so much. If you'd like to join the Patreon community, support the channel, get some great perks at the same time, there's a link down below in the description. It'll be awesome to see you there.